Hi, this is Alex Gonzalez from In Your Phase. This is going to be a 40K based episode where we are going to be reviewing the 40K animations that are right around the corner. We're also going to be talking about the Dark Eldar Codex, and we're going to be reviewing the Free State 2021 GT that happened just about a week ago. In addition to that, we are going to have in the episode a few comments, a few statements about content that either needs to be cut or was cut, and you're going to notice that that might very well be the case. That is something where, if that is the case, that is likely something that is meant for patrons. So that is something that will be discussed with our patrons. If you want to find out, do consider getting us a cup of coffee while we give you guys this great content. And again, as normal, don't forget to like and subscribe. So sit back, enjoy the show. I wasn't doing any fencing. I was just trying to get.
I think Alex would be good at that, though. I mean, he's probably is more of a an epee guy, but I could see him foil fencing as well.
Thank God that's where you went, because I thought you were going to go Mexico, like Mexican joke about fencing and Mexicans. So he knows I'm not Mexican. Oh my God, I know. But that's
no, that's the beauty. See, I'm Mexican, despite my last name, and Alex is not Mexican, despite his last name.
I mean, Puerto Rican, but definitely have German in
the irony.
So there is the irony there.
I actually think of you as a German.
Yeah, well, I kind of have a. No, God. I get it. I get it. Trust me, I get it. There are some certain neuroses that only that side of my family has heavily.
Oh, really?
Oh, for sure. Not me as a nutshell, but definitely other people I know. Yeah, cool. Well, I mean, I like the little water thing there. This is cool. The little watermark there for Jeremy's background. And
oh yeah, that's pretty sick. Is that are you doing with that with XSplit?
Yeah, so with XSplit, you can add watermarks now to XSplit.
I should do something cool like that.
So when I don't want it, I just put transparency down to 0, so it's like unseenable. You can't see it. Or transparency up to 100, I guess, is the more appropriate terminology.
That's alpha channel down to 0.
Yeah,
I need to reinstall XSplit on here because I think I was having some issues once I transferred a lot of program files over to my new hard drive or my SSD. So I gotta no, I don't have to reinstall. I just have to go through and bring it back into C drive so I can make it work again. I'm
still waiting on XSplit to send me an email saying they support Mac OS X.
They don't support Mac OS?
Nope. I have it on my PC, but I don't record on my PC.
Really? Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool. Well.
I
don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Great way to start the recording.
Well, everyone, this is of course In Your Phase. We're starting with harumphs today. It's a harumphy kind of day. With my phase as normal, I'm doing a lot of hobby work. I was turned off my virtual background a little earlier before recording to share the mess that was. Actually, honestly, they didn't see much of a mess because they weren't able to see what was right in front of the computer screen here or what was right to the side of me. But you know, we talked about how I've been thinking about painting, and I know our patrons have been bugging me. Andrew's been really good on, you know, holding me accountable trying to hold me accountable to potentially upping my paint game and organizing. He has a sheet of paper that he writes on. I think I need to get a whiteboard. I think I will end up doing something like that, but I don't want to see my own handwriting, man. So instead, but I have been inspired by them and others to try to actually get my hobby shit on board. Ooh, very nice. And so I started finishing up my Seraphon. I thankfully am not thinking about painting my 30 fucking knights right now, just because that's not great, but I'm looking at the yeah, I saw that fucking look. Jeremy was giving me a snide look there because he knows that I like them, and then they're not good right now, and then continuing to try to make them work isn't going to be great. But I have a Starborn list that I've really liked, and I played our patron Dane over the weekend with, did not stream it, but it was It made me realize how fuck shit it was, and unfortunately, I accidentally, after the game, made it even more fuck shit. So I have a newer version of some bullshit that I'm excited about. And in addition to that, I have a Thunder Lizard list that I was looking at, and I was like, fuck it. These are way less models than the other one, or at least way less complex models. So I am actively working on building them up and painting them. So I haven't painted everything yet, but I am finishing up my skink handlers for my salamanders, and I only have 4 salamanders in my Starborn list, but I want to have 6 on hand anyways, 6 hunting packs just in case for summoning purposes. So I already have a pair of the very first salamander models. These I'm really into dinosaurs. Technically, these aren't dinosaurs. These are based on Dimetrodon, which is a pre-dinosaur warm-blooded kind of proto thing. It actually is more related. It's closer related to the to a mammal than it was a dinosaur, but it definitely looked almost identical to the very, very first salamander, minus the weird little spikes at the end for no reason, because it never had that. But it did have the sail, and it did have the dinosaurs have hips that and shoulder joints in a way where they were very narrow rather than very wide. So when you see things in the weird push-up position, that is not a dinosaur at all. That is at best a reptile, but those were actually more mammalian. So fun fact, I was super into dinosaurs as a little kid, and I just never lost the info. I also have a pair of the regular modern. When I say modern, I mean it's still 15 years old. There's 2 different sculpts. I have 2, and I'm showing my host for those who aren't watching on the video, the salamanders. So I have 2 of the more modern salamanders. And then I haven't built them yet, but yesterday I went over to the Games Workshop in Portland, and I picked up a box of cornhounds, flesh-hounds. I have a bunch of ripperdactyl heads, and it is a very easy conversion to shave off and either mold over or put a Seraphon glyph over the corn symbol on some of those cornhounds, and maybe take the hair off of 3 out of the 5 that you get out of the kit, and then do a head swap, and you have yourself some pretty decent looking action posed salamanders, and they're all on the same base size. They're all on the small cavalry base for some reason. Well, all of them fit on the small base size pretty well, but I am gonna have 2 more built because I'm not gonna bother with the ones where I gotta cut the fur off for now. I also have some, I don't want to try to awkwardly go through to show you guys the images, but I have 5 Saurus Guard that I got from our good friend Evan from Mindtaker Miniatures months ago. He had a sale, a garage sale out in Camas, Washington, and I showed up, and he just happened to have some Saurus Guard, so I picked him up for cheap. And very static models, very small models. But the funny thing was, I was going to make a second unit of Saurus Guard out of the Blood Bowl team for Lizardmen. So the Saurus Guard are significantly larger than a regular Saurus Warrior, which all those sculpts are way too old. Everything outside of the Realm Shaper is just old as shit. But the size discrepancy between the Saurus Warriors that you get, Saurus blockers that you get from the Blood Bowl kit, and then those Saurus Warriors that are like 15 years old, 16 years old, is also crazy. It's like Space Marine to Primaris and a little more. Here is Saurus Guard. Okay. You can see he's got the little helmet, right? My webcam will not focus, apparently. And then this is my converted, so far, one of my converted Saurus Guard from the Blood Bowl team. You cannot see it. It's a head swap, basically. Problem is, let's take a look at the size of these 2 guys.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but when you start looking at them, it's like, okay, well, one is thick and one is not. Like, one actually looks like very sturdy and robust. The other one just looks very static and kind of lame. So I'm converting them because they all come with like their fists or like their hands open. So doing some head swaps, getting some stuff going. So basically, I'm working on a lot of that. Next is going to be my Slan is going to have a little headdress. The Blood Bowl kit came with headdresses for the Xxix, and they look very similar to some of the things that some of the Slan have in Total War, some of the like feathered headdresses. So I'm making a feathered headdress for the one Slan I have. My Hypnotoad is going to be my Croak. I have to build a platform for him because he's going to have his own unique platform, probably Necron-y looking, with a lot of glyphs and stuff. And then big one, another big final thing before we pass it on over is I found my Balewind. I found the base and I cut off the spikes because I don't play a Chaos faction. I don't want to see a bunch of Chaos spikes. And I don't want to like 3D print a Balewind Vortex. Our good friend Matthew, who just moved recently, or Matt just moved recently, offered to give me his Tornado, but I found a glue gun method, and I have wires, and I'm basically going to make like a spiral energy thing going on that I showed you guys a little earlier. It's just like a general example of the idea I had. And just prior to that, John actually showed me his fantastic idea that he had for little tornado spirals for the little water spouts that you had for your Deepkin. Very tempting. Wasn't the direction I was going to go for with that, but that was really fucking cool looking. And I'm glad that I saw that. And really that's all that's in my phase is babysitting cats and plants and working on lizards. That was a long one here. John, what's in your phase?
Well, that's a lot to unpack, Alex. First off, I will say, yeah, the spouts I think were only that I showed you were only a replacement if you were going to do like the exact Balewind Vortex. But the idea that you showed in chat, I think, is way cooler. So that's going to be pretty awesome. I look forward to seeing what that is. And second, I'll say, you know, I too was super into dinosaurs as a kid. Oh, yeah. However, all the knowledge on dinosaurs that was extant when I was a child is no longer correct. So yes. I might as well have been into dragons for as much as what I know about dinosaurs applies to what we really know about dinosaurs.
Okay, he makes a point though, because like what I even learned about certain dinosaurs definitely isn't whole true right now. Like the Spinosaurus has changed probably like 6 times in the last 6 years. So people are learning a lot more about that guy.
Yeah, the last 20, 30 years, we've really advanced our knowledge. And then finally, I was a little inspired. Our fine co-host Jeremy and I were having a passionate conversation earlier, which we won't get into, but it inspired me to finally crack open this bottle of 1792 single barrel. And I will say it is certainly a strong drink.
Would you say it's a rebellious drink?
Yes, it sits hard on the palate.
And there's a certain story related to that.
Yes. And so anyways, I myself, in my phase this week, the biggest thing that went on was I've been joined up with the Crusade League for Hammerhead Games ran by Tony Myers of Hammerhead Games, the Shark Tank Crusade, as it were. And it's kind of a cool thing. There are, I think, 5 teams. Each team has 8 to 10 players, and it actually is stretching across most of Central California and the coast, the Bay Area, Sacramento area, through the Central Valley. And basically, you can play games against anybody, and then you report those games back in. And it's a narrative honor-based thing. And as Tony said, if you need to cheat at Crusade, just let me know. I'll send you a prize.
No hope for you if that's the case.
Yeah. So anyway, so we've been starting off with a 50 power level, and I myself went in as Necrons. Now, I was the Zeztuku is my warlord name, and those of us that are on the Patreon on our Discord get to read some of the fluff. The fluff does not go out to the rest of the public, though I shared a little bit in the league. My quality fluff writing, But for my first games this weekend, I actually went over to my buddy Alexander. Now Alexander lives down in San Martin, which is, I live in the country. That's even further out in the country. And he has a large, it's not even a barn. It's like an overhead. It has a roof, to park like RVs under and stuff. But other than that, it's just a big open area. And he sets up several tables, and so we're able to maintain large social distance. I myself wore a mask all weekend anyways. So 50 power level, took my Necrons. I basically brought a Catacomb Command Barge, a unit of Immortals, a unit of 10 Death Marks, a Treyarch Stalker, and 2 annihilation barges and a doom sight. And so that is exactly 50 power level. And I also went with a custom dynasty, and my custom dynasty was the double obsec plus vehicles get to shoot in combat at full ballistic skill.
Okay.
And so as you see, I built a vehicle-centric list, and I happen to have a bunch of annihilation barges, and I really think they look cool. They're like one of my favorite models, so I wanted an army with a bunch of them. So anyways, my first round, I played against Alexander and his Ultramarines, and it was a cool narrative crusade mission where the Ultramarines start anywhere on a diagonal half of the table, and the objectives start in the center and go away from the center towards their corner. And there's 5 objectives spaced 6 or 8 inches apart. And the objective is active based on the turn number. So turn 1, the center, turn 2, 6 inches off center, turn 3, 14 inches off center. And each turn, the active objective moves further from center. Myself, as the attacker, was able to come in, not deploy no models, but come in from the board edge on my side of the table. So a very unique kind of mission. And the story was that basically the Ultramarines or the enemy force had been harassing my city for a while, and I saw an opportunity as they were retreating to do a quick alpha strike. Well, you know, guess what? Ultramarines piled up in the middle of the table, Necrons with highly mobile vehicles able to come in anywhere on 2 sides of the table. It was a good game, and he did last until turn 5 before I tabled him. But I did, with my opening strike, I was able to position my flyer and an annihilation barge so as I sniped out his banner and characters. And then I'll tell you what, it's the first time I've ran 10 death marks. Holy crap. Every character I pointed them at died. 10 shots, hitting on 2s, AP2, 6s cause mortal wounds. Those things are small character killers. So I was really happy with the performance of the death marks. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, so we had a great game. And since we were there playing these small 50 power level games, I got a second game in. Now, I'll tell you, Alex had asked me to bring some terrain. And when I travel to people's houses, I bring the terrain that I got from Cruise Hammer. So these are buildings, and all of the terrain for an entire table nests inside the building. So you like open the top and buildings come out of inside of buildings, and boom, you have a whole table of little buildings, right? Well, it's not ruins. These are city buildings. So my second game happened to be on the same table, and my good buddy Sean. Now, Sean and I go back and forth. We like to kind of smash face with each other. So there's no mercy when we hit each other on the table. So I saw that Sean had brought a whole bunch of Thunderwolves. Like, dude, Thunderwolves in a narrative power level game? Well, I guess that's very narrative, but they're one of those units that can really take advantage of power level because all the equipment is free. And Space Wolves have upgrades like making the sergeant of a unit a Terminator. And when you have a Terminator to take saves to protect your long fangs with their missile launchers, oh, and the Terminator has a missile launcher too, then all of a sudden, you know, you've got some pretty nasty stuff. So because Sean had brought this list like that with all these Thunderwolves, I did what any good Necron commander with a bunch of flying vehicles and an army like that would do. I put everything on top of a building. Can't be assaulted, can't be touched by any of those Thunderwolves. And then I just concentrated all my firepower to start dropping shooting units one at a time. So, so that was wonderful. And that, my friends, is mostly what was in my phase this week. Other than that, got in a great hobby show. Hopefully you guys check it out, continuing to work on that scatter terrain, that Age of Sigmar scatter terrain. And with that, Garrett, my friend, I hear that there was something. What was it? What happened in your phase? Tell us.
Well, first, I do have to ask, did you make sure to keep all of your flying vehicles outside of an inch of the edge of the buildings?
Yes, I did.
Good.
Yes,
because-
I did.
Wow.
In fact, it was funny as he was starting to move in. He's like, I guess I can assault you here. And I go, oh, wait, let me move a little bit. And he's like, ah.
Yeah, no, because you do in 40K, they try to solve that unchargeable problem by you have a 5-inch vertical plus the inch over engagement range. So it's really hard to make unchargeable units, but if you are having a bunch of non-ruins buildings with large platforms to be on top of, then yeah, you could probably do it.
And a couple 6-inch buildings as well. My snipers were up on a 6-inch building.
But I mean, I guess John likes to put me on the spot and stuff. So if John's going to put me on the spot, then yes. I'm actually getting my first dose tomorrow. So I will the vaccine.
What?
Sorry, but Alex has been trying to train us not to use certain keywords on the podcast to do algorithmic searches. So
I know. I was just fucking around.
Yeah. So I'll be getting that tomorrow. So someday I'll actually be, getting out of the house and maybe playing some Warhammer. So we'll see.
One step closer.
One step closer. Yeah. I've been discussing with the wife about, comfort levels of me having the vaccine and her not, and where that leaves things. And, but it's looking like, I have a buddy who's, also getting the vaccine and things like that. So we'll probably be able to, go out and play some games in basements and things like that. So I'll have some incentive to actually start getting hardcore into painting models and maybe some terrain and actually getting my, streaming rig built up again. And I might actually be able to start streaming some real games in my basement. So I'm really excited. Other than that, I mean, honestly, the only other exciting thing is, exciting to me is I've been playing a lot of Valheim. It's a game that some of you may know, some of you may not. It has nothing to do with Warhammer. But that's what I've been doing.
Well, no, technically there are Warhammers potentially in Valheim.
I haven't found any yet. There are maces. They're more like morning stars. But I have yet to find an actual Warhammer. I'm not that far. I mean, I'm up to iron.
I'm unsupervised for the next 4 days. I might as well just download it and play it with you. Fuck.
Yeah, seriously. I've been looking into setting up a dedicated server and stuff. I'm still working out the kinks of having a server that I can just throw up there and people can join in and whenever they want. I probably want to get a second machine that I'd have as just a dedicated server I can throw in my basement, plug right into the router and just live. So seeing where that goes, but it's a really fun game. I mean, I know it's taken the world by storm with 5 million copies sold in a month. Of it's a indie game of 3 to 5 developers that sold 5 million copies in less than a month time. So
the graphics are interesting.
Yeah, it's the game itself is actually fun. I will say it's definitely one of those games I think will be similar to DayZ in its following, where it will Arma 3 DayZ, kind of where it's it has all the tools where someone can design, basically modify put mods on and stuff to kind of build whatever game they want it to be. It just has the infrastructure to kind of have that freedom to build things on. And so that's what's really exciting about it. The wife really likes it because she loves building stuff. We've been playing Don't Starve together, and she's been that experience of researching new materials and building new things. This takes it to the next level because she can build structures. She's actually been going on subreddits and things to look up, someone built the Notre Dame Cathedral in it already. And yeah, you can get kind of crazy with the stuff you can build. And so she's really excited to start building more stuff, and she's practicing and she's likes that stuff. And, there's combat and exploration and mining materials and all
is this just Norse Minecraft?
Yeah, it is literally Viking Minecraft. It's essentially it's
non-cubic Minecraft.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the graphics, it's fairly cubic.
Again, I disagree with your assessment of these graphics. They actually look the world looks gorgeous.
Oh,
the characters are decent.
Okay, yeah. The characters are low res. The world is gorgeous. I will say, I've just gotten my my Viking longship and going out and sailing on the ocean and just like hitting a storm or you're crashing through the waves. It's very satisfying. Like it can kind of be relaxing as you just sail across, the sun shines through the trees and you just, casually sail through while you're shipping your iron from one base to the other because you can't teleport with fucking iron or ore in general. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I've been playing that a bunch. I started playing Baldur's Gate 3 again with the new patch 4 that unlocked Druid.
Are they getting closer to release on that?
It's hard to tell with Larian Studios, but they just came out with a big new patch with a bunch of rebalancing and a new class. So they now have the Druid class available. So they are making progress. They are making no promises on release date, but given their track record with Divinity Original Sin 2, it doesn't, like, they will deliver a game. And I'm having fun with it. So, but yeah, that's basically it for me. Jeremy, any exciting things in your life that's worthy of talking about on the podcast?
Yeah, exciting? Not really, but I did basically start, assembling my first company of Imperial Fist, and on the camera can't really zoom in. But thanks to John's wonderful gift of pre-heresy Terminators, which are apparently incredibly hard to find because I think they stopped producing the Cataphractii Terminators from at least Games Workshop has. I think they're just like moving it on to like Forge World or something. I don't know. Either way, they're hard ones to find. And also additionally, else, I am getting my Slaanesh army finally on Saturday. Cannot wait to start assembling that and playing it. If I could actually play games in person, that would be just phenomenal. That would help too. And what else is
besides me?
Yeah, well, that's really what I meant, because at this point,
I get it.
I mean, you're tired of playing me. I'm tired of playing you. You're gonna be playing Draconian Tale. I'm just gonna tell you, you're gonna get angry at me when you lose of it, and then we're gonna move on past it and grow better as a person.
Oh no, I know what I would do if I fought as for sure.
I got to interject there real quick, Jeremy. I realize you're tired of playing Alex and that. It's much like my buddy Sean and I. We primarily play against each other. But what I saw on Saturday was that first game. Sean and I was like, hey, I want to play anybody but Sean. And then Sean played somebody and I played somebody, and we both smashed those people. And I realized that Sean and I actually deserve each other. That out of that whole group, they are the only two that smash face so hard that we can play like that and not be unhappy at the end of the game. And I just got to throw that at you two, gentlemen. You might be a little tired of smashing face, but you're also two of the top players. Everybody else just gets smashed.
We'll see.
It's just that there's a certain amount of like Seraphons I'm allowed to play in my lifetime before I basically just burn the entire book down, and then just go effectively on a rallying cry to like basically find the person who wrote that book and just set his house on fire, because you're going to push me to that limit. But it doesn't matter, because the book is going to get irrelevant as soon as 3.0 comes out. We're not relevant, but at least like we'll be addressed to an extent, right? So I'm not too worried about that. At this point, we just have to wait until Games Workshop actually decides to release the damn fucking thing, which is now a concern of them. Are they actually going to release things? Anyway, super excited for the fucking new campaign book. So there goes that. But overall, like in terms of like in my phase, I did get a game in of AOS last week, but I was mostly for practice for AOS Worlds for the team. So it wasn't nothing interesting to report other than that Fire Slayers played against Luminef. Luminef did not really do well against Fire Slayers.
Shocking.
I think shocking. Until the rest of the book comes out, that'll be just phenomenal. It was kind of insulting.
Yeah, that's going to be the running joke forever for people that play Lumineth. Is even when the next tome, when the rest of the tome finally comes out, then we'll really have the units we need.
Yeah, we'll be good then. We'll be good.
They'll just never release Tyrion, just so that like they can always say the next one. You'll get it in the next one. We'll release him in the next one. We swear.
I'm curious how much flack I'm gonna get from people for playing Slanesh army and like basically replace all my demonettes with daughters of Cain models. Just be like, they're basically Slaneshi. Come on, they're a Slanesh. Don't worry about it. At this point, I don't know what the hell they're gonna do at the end of that campaign book if they don't boot out like the daughters of Cain from the orders battle. I don't know.
Make him the destruction army. Keep on saying it.
They
You're
should
saying
try to
corn
do
needs
that.
a little love, and they can just be folded in where they belong.
That's right. That's right. They could just basically put it like a fifth faction called the Fallen faction, and then we'll have the Dark Angel Codex come out in AOS because that's really where the power creep starts.
Well, then we would have heard
anyway.
that like Astral Templars were, chaos all along or something like that. It will just never end.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Even though it's like in the fluff that like Stormcast cannot be chaos ever because something like precludes them from falling from the influence of chaos. So I don't know. Something AOS fluff can be incredibly good or just incredibly bad. And if it's usually related to Stormcast, it's
probably bad.
incredibly bad.
But dude, it's high fantasy. You just don't get high fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've been doing a good job with the campaign books with Stormcast, kind of though, because it's like not because of Stormcast or Stormcast perspective, but like working with the idea of Stormcast. Because for those who maybe are 40K listeners, Stormcast are not Space Marines, but they're basically reforged people. They kind of like lose their humanity each time they get reforged, and they're just one person. They're not like a bunch like OBR things are, but they're
closer to Custodes in the sense of like they're supposed to be. They're not humans. They think they're above humanity.
Well, they're human souls.
And well, they're not necessarily all human souls. So like that's the point.
They don't mention.
It's a fluff war. It's a fluff war.
They only mention souls. They only mention souls that happen to have been human. So yeah, but yes, they haven't explicitly said you must be this species to enter. You're right.
Oh yeah, I'm glad because Azure already sounds like a complete Nazi shit show over there. So
that's the point.
But the point I was trying, seriously, the campaign fluff, even the first one, Marathi, pretty bad. Like it has some major flaws in it, but it's better than some of the other ones we've seen. And the Stormcast element didn't help at all. Usually, like they just don't fit the fluff. Because remember, the entire fluff of Marathi is basically the Marathi stealing the Deepkin lantern, the Deepkin showing up to take it back, and then Marathi says, "Cool, I don't need this. Plus, it doesn't work anymore because I used it." And then Deepkin are like, "Great, now we'll work with you for you." Confused / like, what the fuck? And that is the entire basically book in a nutshell.
Yeah, but in the book, basically, it's like, oh, do we fight you now that you're like a full ass god and just die, or do we just like work with you now? And so it was like, they kind of read the writing on the walls, and it was like, well, we're gonna just fucking die if we continue this, so we'll stop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get that.
I like how
really bad fluff.
There is a good point of fluff with Stormcast because once they take that city, Anvil Guard, right? One of the fucking cities, the one that's in Realm of Fire, and there's like a Stormcast keep. What?
Is it Hammer Hall?
Yeah, Hammer Hall.
I think it's Go ahead.
Whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the name is. But they were like, Marathi was like, don't engage the fucking Stormcast, besiege them, capture if you need to, incapacitate if you need to, no killing them, because when a I almost said Custodes, fuck. When a Stormcast dies, like their soul goes straight back to like Sigmar basically to get like reforged. So if one dies, they're going to be able to report, oh hey, Marathi's up to some sketchy shit right now. So instead they capture them all, they besiege them all, and then that story ends with one of them basically killing himself or not killing, like getting himself killed basically, so that he can just go back and report back. But there's a side point where so I might be mixing this one up with the Wrath of the Ever Chosen, but there's some point in one of them, I think it is Broken Realms Marathi, where there's a group of Stormcrafts being attacked by chaos. I think it's the Slaneshi chaos. I think it is Broken Realms. And for some reason or another, there's some spells that have come up, or some sort of incantation that that something had created with the assistance of what's the ever chosen spellcaster's name? A Gaunt Summoner. A Gaunt Summoner had assisted in this giant spell, which basically made dark clouds overhead, and it prevented the souls from dead Stormcast to go back to Azure, meaning that souls were just flat out lost. Like, that is not a refreshed soldier for X amount of time. That is a dead, done, not coming back ever Stormcast. And it was like, what the fuck? Chaos can do this now? And didn't at the time I was like, I'm wondering what kind of plot point they're going to go with that. And then now that we saw the animation for a model that we have on our docket today, the animation for the intro video for that model shows exactly who caused this, you know, so they mention a plot point to the upcoming story without actually mentioning the plot point, which I think is cool. And that's
okay.
You know,
So was that fluff about Stormcast, or was that fluff about Chaos? Because that sounded a lot more like fluff about Chaos and Stormcast.
it's about Stormcast because it's about other races like working
It's
around.
trying to fix bad Stormcast fluff.
Yes,
is what
it's trying to fix the Mary Sueism of Stormcast, where it's like, well, they can never die, and they can never actually die ever, and they have golden armor, and they're the best guys ever, and they're really cool, and there's nothing they can do wrong, and they are too dumb, they're too smart enough to never just die, because they can't, because they can get reforged all the time. Well, now they can't get reforged all the time. So
yeah, I mean, also, what about the whole point of like the whole thing is like Sigmar can see all the realms like from Azure? That was like the whole point too.
that's very dumb.
You can
I've
see
never
all.
heard
No,
of
that was 2 editions ago.
Oh, that was 2 editions ago. Okay, like that.
That's before they figured out the
retcon.
flaw.
It's all been retconned.
Like that's totally been retcon.
That doesn't work in
yeah,
the
'cause-
current storyline.
If you didn't know this, they totally took that from Zeus. Like, you know, that was a cult concept of Zeus. He can see all of the mortal realms because from his vantage point on Olympus, and that was like the
So
point.
so wait, the god of order whose symbols are lightning and eagles is similar to Zeus?
Shocking.
Huh.
Shocking.
Huh. Okay.
And he's represented in an old white guy fashion. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's not forget that component.
The Skyfather motif is hard with him.
But so I don't know how we got to there. I think we were supposed to transition to Alex's phase, but honestly, it doesn't.
No,
Doesn't really
I already
matter.
talked about my face.
Alex had a face.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Be'lakor. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let's talk about Be'lakor.
Moving on.
So of course there was a new model. It was Be'lakor. You know, Jeremy and I, man, we should have streamed that game I had with Dane, because Jeremy was like, I predict this is how big the Be'lakor is going to be. And I was like, that's a pretty good prediction. Let's see what happens. And he was 100% right. That Be'lakor is body-wise just a head shorter than a Lord of Change. And with the wings, not as tall as a Lord of Change, but is definitely wider than a Lord of Change with the wings. I gotta say, I'm really excited to see the model. I had a Be'lakor model a long time ago. It is a really cool model, very tiny model. It is really cool that he's got multiple poses. I thought, you know, like there's the joke about the fact that there's a new Primaris Marine announced last weekend, and it was on the base of Be'lakor. There's another Primaris Lieutenant once more right down there on his feet. And you can have that, or you can have the Chaos Warrior. And at first I was like, that's cool. And like that they have a transition and a different model depending on whether or not you're bringing you want to model him as the 40K Be'lakor or the Age of Sigmar Be'lakor. But it's not just the base. And it took me a while to realize that. When you look at the model closer, and maybe I'm the last one to realize this, maybe you guys already figured that one out, but I looked at the model, and of course they have them different pose. So the arm is going to be more posable, and there's either like an open hand or a pointing hand like the original one, which is cool. You get to choose how you make your Be'lakor look. Normally a named character model doesn't have that level of flexibility, right? But the wings, little tassels, you know, Be'lakor's got the chains and the hooks and stuff and skulls on his wings for decoration. His Christmas tree wings are different depending on if they're the 40K version of the Age of Sigmar version. Now you can bring both. I think you could argue bringing both, because there's not like a plasma pistol hanging from one, but there's still skulls on both. there's more skulls in the Age of Sigmar one. On the 40K one, there's like laurels, like Iron Halo laurels, and
I'm
that's pretty
thinking
cool.
that those are all bits. I'm
Oh, you think they're
picturing
bits?
I'm thinking a bunch of bits that you can decorate the wings with how you see fit.
Okay, I like that. I like that. That's a good idea, and it could lead to a lot of cool conversions. Like you put like a Necron head, a Tau helmet, whatever. You know, that's cool. But I didn't initially notice that till maybe a day after, and I got pretty excited once I saw that.
Yeah, and I say that if you look, the chains are actually the same chains, but like you said, there's different skulls and different bits hanging off of them.
I will take a closer look next time or tonight. Wow.
Yeah, that I tell you, that is one sexy looking model. Like, oh my gosh, I love the old Bellacore model. I was thinking to myself, man, I should have grabbed it. It's up there on the shelf, so I'm not going to go grab it. But again, love the old sculpt, but this new sculpt, I don't think I ever played the old Bellacore. I don't think I even used him once, maybe as a stand-in Demon Prince. And I will never play the new Bellacore, but I still want the model. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah, it is a gorgeous model.
Can we talk about something, the most important topic about this model? Let's analyze it. Apparently, anytime there's a cool Chaos model coming out for 40K, there's a dead Primaris Lieutenant. I just want to know, how the fuck do you get like leadership promotions in the Space Marine chapters? Like if you're just gonna get killed by goddamn Chaos heroes every goddamn time they release the model. Like it seems like the chain of command just ends at Lieutenant and 40K. Just pointing that out. I don't
There's
know.
not a lot of captains because not a lot make it that far.
Yeah, that's right. They all get killed by some goddamn Chaos heroes.
There you go. Yeah, they get killed by some guy.
Fast track to lieutenanthood. There's a lot of lieutenants out there because we need them to die. Chaos heroes.
Like I can't wait for like the next like orc like special character just have a dead lieutenant. Then the next like Tau model just has a dead lieutenant. Like let's just make
It becomes a whole thing. Oh my gosh, that would be so trollish by GW. I love it.
They are in on the joke though, because remember when Abaddon was announced, they were like the intro video at that LVO was like introducing the newest Primaris Lieutenant, and you slowly start to realize that it's like super fucking dead, and you're like, oh, okay, you guys.
I'm surprised they didn't do that on the Lilith model. That man, like would have been perfect. The new one, because they re-released Lilith, right? They did a new sculpt for her.
They're waiting for the Vect model.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah,
if
she has
ever come out.
She has the dead Eldar stat face. They could have missed opportunity. Could have been a dead lieutenant, Primaris Lieutenant.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really cool model. I'm really excited. You know, I'm a little bit more interested to see how it ends up being in Age of Sigmar rather than 40K, just because of his significance in the fluff. In 40K fluff, it's a lot simpler because it is way less fleshed out. He's basically the first Demon Prince, though, no matter what, in either setting. Yeah. So it's cool. Basically, with the 40K setting, though, I know that he's shown up throughout history as a evil person, and then is just the first Demon Prince of Chaos. So
in 40K, was he how was he the first, like, is he the first Demon Prince from being like a Space Marine or something, or was he just Demon Prince from
being a human? So they hint at ancient human times. He was he had shown up frequently as the same person in different forms as a evil person in different eras and different epochs. So think a Genghis Khan, maybe a Nero, maybe a different individual from the modern era, you know, who commits, say, mass genocide or something like that. Someone who's basically under the radar from the Emperor the whole time. So,
okay,
yeah, but he's not like trying to take Abaddon's place like he is, like, you know. He is Sisyphus in the thing
there was
Sigmar,
I remember there was like some kind of talk like he was like some kind of like priest, like also at some point in like the old, anyway, 40K and AOS well, I think he was like some like they were kind of referencing like Bellacore is one of those weird instances where Games Workshop was trying to like merge the Warhammer Fantasy world with 40K and like references, because like in Be'lakor is like the one kind of like rare occurrence where that happens, other than the fact there's chaos gods in both, right? And I thought like the storyline was like he was like some kind of like tribal chieftain or priest or something, and that's like renounced the gods and like maybe I'm confusing of Archeon in the AOS.
100% confusing it with Archeon.
Archeon, Either
It's
way,
an accurate fluff point, but
just like whatever. Like the Be'lakor fluff is not what I'm interested in, because honestly, like it's not that. In AOS, it's pretty bad. I'll be honest. The AOS
what his fucking Age of Sigmar is great.
He just doesn't like Archeon because Archeon's the new favorite daddy boy toy.
No, it transitioned straight from Warhammer Fantasy. He was the very first ever chosen, so he was a human that became the very first ever chosen. He got real cocky. They say in the latest article that something happened to him, and the Dark Gods basically said, "Nah, son."
Yes.
Basically, in the old fantasy fluff, he like thinks himself a god and goes like, "Well, fuck you guys, I am a god now." And they're like, wait, we gave you all this power. So they're like, he tries to step up to them, and instead, they
and he
strip him of all
also tried to sabotage Archeon, and then got like punished.
Well, that's the thing.
Too.
They turn him into the eternal Red Skull from Endgame. So he is the guy who he can never seek what he leads people to, and he's the guy who Archeon in End Times, he goes through all the like the trials of Hercules to get like the eye, the helmet, the armor, the sword,
the crown.
and Bellacor's there the whole time, kind of trying to subvert him, but also being like, I have to do this, and he has to eventually crown him the Everchosen. Like he's forced to. There's no way he can avoid it. So he is forever.
He tries to sabotage him, even though he tries to sabotage him the entire time.
Yeah, he's doomed to failure for all eternity.
He's Starscream of AOS. Got it. Sounds good.
Starscream, Darth Maul, take your pick.
Darth Maul was actually like at least a real villain. Starscream was just a kind of a meme, which is what Be'lakor is. It's kind of a meme. Unless they rewrite his rules. Because right now, like the way Be'lakor is in AOS is like it's a complete meme. Like it's powerful, but it's very meme-ish. It's very much of a meme, Yeah. So
on Sean's face.
So let's open 40K. His rules are at least a little interesting. I don't know. I have no idea what they're gonna make him like in 40K, but I'm pretty sure in AOS he's just good. If I was to leave it to Games Workshop, they're just gonna copy paste this last set of rules. I don't think they're gonna change it, which is unfortunate. But let's see what kind of power ups he gets in 40K, because when you do a resculpt, the last thing you want to do is just make it lame.
Rules sell models. So he looks cool, and if he has OP rules, they will sell the heck out of him.
Yeah.
And if they break him in a way that lets him ally with lots of armies, then he'll really sell a lot of models.
Honestly, John, I think you proved that Be'lakor is the exception to the rules sell models, because you're buying him regardless of his rules.
Yeah, that's an amazing model.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing model. Yeah. Speaking of rules, though, moving away from the demonic side of things, there was the other announcement that we had, which was the Piety and Pain kit that was going to come out. Now, for a lot of us, we saw that in the holiday season, and that's going to be that starter set, or not starter set, but they don't even have starter sets anymore for Warhammer 40,000. They just, or any Games Workshop game, they basically have just a new set that you can pick up that's got portions of an army. And of course, this is Sisters of Battle versus Dark Eldar. We still are completely we don't know when the heck that Dark Eldar book is going to come out, but we're eagerly awaiting a second Xeno army book. But they did release rules today or this week for the units in that one, specifically the Palatine for Sisters of Battle, and like Jeremy or John mentioned just a moment ago, Lilith's rules. And what do you guys think of Lilith's rules that were kind of shared in that?
I'm actually kind of disappointed. I hope there is like a little bit more. Not like the rules look pretty good but like that's not like one of the things that Lilith was really good at in like the previous iterations of her is that she just ignored saves. Like that.
I was gonna say that's what I don't have a reference for. Is what was she before that made her special, and is she still have that same specialness, or is she completely reinvented?
I think she still like fits the same role, which is kind of like this kind of like high volume, basically melee monster. But like making it -3 AP for me for her attacks versus just straight up bypassing saves. Because you're gonna tell me, Jeremy, well, why does that matter? Well, it's because we live in an environment where things like storm shields and terminators live and are gonna be popular. So like she's basically only making up like a 4-up save, I think is what ends up happening at -3 because they're 1-up. So 2, 3, 4, 4-up save. So it's just, which they already have a 4-up, and also you're gonna tell me like, well, it doesn't matter. But I don't know, like it just, I wanted her to be like, she's supposed to be like this the epitome apex of like martial prowess, and how she basically finds a way to like slit her daggers into things in the fluff, and then like, just giving her a -3 Ren or AP just doesn't feel, I don't know, it just feels lackluster. She has exploding sixes to hit, which is nice, but so she comes with 7 attacks, so she's probably gonna get at least 1 exploding, maybe 2 exploding sixes on average. So you're looking at, if you're lucky, so maybe 9 hits, which is about what she used to have, I think, in the previous iterations of the book. On average, was about 9 attacks. So in terms of that, she hasn't really changed in the hitting power. But I think that she lost her ability to take. She used to be able to take 2 weapon options, and one of them was like a harpoon, like a net and a harpoon. It was like it included a net, I think, or something. I think they removed that. Now she can only have the dual daggers now. I guess makes sense in the simplification process. By the way, that model itself is the 3rd iteration of Lilith in less than 10 years. That has to be one of the most like changed model in design and like sculpt, by the way, for Games Workshop for a special character. I don't think any other special character has had that many sculpts redone in this amount of time.
No, I don't think so. But you're forgetting a really important point about her effectiveness in combat. I mean, she's a melee monster, but she needs to pick her battles. Like most named characters, they're not all meant to go up against Thunderhammer, Stormshield, Terminators. And you're forgetting you're right. She's got strength 4, 7 attacks, strength 4, -3, 1 damage, 6s explode, so maybe 1 or 2. But not only can she retreat and charge, but she can fall back and charge, but if she kills any models, then she gets to attack again at the end of the combat phase.
Well, no, she doesn't do that. You totally misunderstood that rule. First, you have to pick it in your command phase between the 2 options. And it only affects it during your fight phase, so it doesn't affect it in the opponent's fight phase. No. So there's a couple limitations. Yeah, look at this. It's in your command phase.
It says in your command. So in your command phase, you choose one of the following. And it doesn't say that it ends. It doesn't.
Yes,
how long does it last?
It does. It says in the fight phase of this turn, if this model destroys any models at the end of the phase, it can fight again. And so firstly, that would be great against like a horde unit, but like an elite unit, because she's only damage 1. Like
she's not. No, you said it though. She is going to clean up small units, infantry units, things holding objectives. She's not going to go toe-to-toe against a dedicated melee unit, and she's not going to go toe-to-toe against a beat stick melee character.
No, right. But that's not what Lilith is. That's not what her job is. That is a fundamental change from all the previous iterations of Lilith. Lilith was supposed to be the melee character killer. She was designed to punish melee characters. In fact, I forgot she had ways to like reduce their attacks down. We don't know her rules. Maybe in combat with another character, maybe she's got a rule where there's something crazy that happens to her if she's attacking a character keyword. Let's hope so. But right now, in terms of that is a very different change from what she used to be in terms of the design, and also she doesn't get to. The whole retreat and charge thing. I wish that was just a state of rule. I wish I didn't have to make a trade-off in a turn. I don't know. So let's hope there's just a lot more chi to this model in a sense.
Which cult units should have retreat and charge? Honestly,
they might. Yeah, they might get it.
Well, probably not if Lilith has a rule.
Probably not.
Well, maybe there's a sub faction that allows something like that. That would be pretty fucking cool.
Maybe.
I mean, you can either have retreat and charge or you can have run and charge, but as long as you don't have both.
Yeah, I see that.
I
I agree.
Like
Also,
white
it's-
scars.
Yeah.
Now-
What
Yeah.
I was gonna point out, like, I was kind of what I was a little bit shocked about Lilith and her character profile was the 8-inch movement. Great, that's about Harlequin speed. That makes sense. But I was actually kind of shocked that she's still only 5 wounds.
Hmm.
So one of the things that like kind of bugs me is that we basically decided in the game that like marine characters and so forth and marine base models should have more wounds when they go to reference like their durability, but like keeping especially like supposed to be melee and durable Eldari like characters down to 5 wounds feels a little weird to me still to this day, because it's just like it feels like they should be at least 6 wounds, right? Because like most Primaris characters now then are like what 6 or 7 wounds depending on like which like armor they have, and like it's like this is a special supposed to be like kind of like melee brawler type like model for Eldari, and they still only has 5 wounds, which is basically saying, oh, it's just as durable as the Farseer.
Yeah.
That okay, but why is the okay, whatever, it's fine. Games Workshop. Like it's just like I don't understand this. Like if we're gonna create the overall wounds for like imperial armies, because that's really what it is. Imperial armies getting the boost. Why not like address durability for other like Eldars are basically right supposed to be like, especially Dark Eldar and regular Eldar. They're supposed to be kind of like the elite version of Xeno armies. I'm sure Paul in the distance is telling me no, Tau is. But the point is,
Somewhere,
like, I don't know.
somewhere he heard you say that. He's like,
yeah, it's just like it's like if you're gonna have like a fundamental like rewriting of how like the wounds characteristic works for Space Marine, I was kind of hoping they would do that for like I really hope that orcs go up to 2 wounds.
oh,
Like that is something I really hope for, because it's like to me that. Yeah, but that's the problem. It's like if only Space Marines are the only thing that went up to 2 wounds, or like based like effectively 1+1 wound across the board.
and Chaos
It's
Space
kind of
Marines.
weird. Right. Sorry, Space Marines in general. Everything that's got
John's
some
like, who gives a fuck?
Okay, fine, John. Obviously, you've never suffered the plight of playing Drukari.
I mean, I
Oh.
think it
Well,
honestly
playing
to
against
me,
them, I've suffered plenty playing against them.
to me, it should come down to like model bulk and like base size. Like orcs are on 32s and they're like big bulky models. They should be 2 wounds. Like I'm okay with Eldar and Imperial Guard and things like that being 1 wound because they're on 25 mils most of the time. They're a little less bulky. Like, okay, yeah.
You also have a shit save.
Yeah, orcs need to be 2 wounds, please.
Yeah, or orc should be 2 wounds with a shitty save. And I agree, Eldar and all those, 1 wound. But when you read them in the fluff, what they are is super fast and hard to hit. If a Marine or anything hits an Eldar, it's dead. Like it can't survive the blow. But good luck hitting one of those witches. And I want to see not more wounds mechanics, but I want to see save mechanics. I want to see a 5-up invuln across the board, 3-up, 5-up kind of stuff, that reflects that, or a rerollable save, things that reflect that I'm fast, I'm hard to hit,
Don't witches have a 4-up invul for a dodge save?
Only in melee, at least they used to.
Oh, only in
No, it's
melee.
only melee. Yeah,
Mm.
only Harlequins have 4-up invul across the board.
Counterpoint, John. This is going like really deep into like weird like fluff to mechanic justification. An interesting concept of how to deal with hit points in Dungeons and Dragons is your hit points are not actually your ability to like take hits, but they also represent like your luck and your ability to dodge and your fatigue. And so like as you're taking hit point damage, it may be like your luck draining because DAX are missing you and stuff. So if you're
your luck is running out, so to speak.
Yeah, so you're not actually getting hit by that troll hit. You just barely ducked it in time, and so you took 12 damage from that barely missing you kind of thing. So like they could up the wound characteristic of like, well, you got your 50% chance of dodging. It's gone now. Next hits, you're out. I don't know. It's weird ways to represent mechanics.
I never liked the idea that the wound characteristic was represent of like basically physical durability when it should just be durability in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
Like if your durability comes from being hard to hit, you can still represent that in the wound characteristic, right?
Yeah.
You don't, because that's the one thing Games Workshop learned from last edition and edition before. When the edition before was like, oh, shit's only hitting on 6s. Well, that's a bad game design. So maybe we should have that. So we're going to take rid of that. Oh, but you're still having like minus stackable minus stick. Oh, that's a bad game design. We're just going to leave it at total -1, right? Like they've understood that the dodging mechanic is not a good mechanic for the game. Yeah. So
yeah, on a D6 game, a dodge mechanic probably is not a good.
And yet Jink exists. Isn't that just a dodge?
Yeah, but what does Jink do?
Yeah,
gives you an invulnerable save, like I said, would represent having a Jink or a fast movement. Right, you're brilliant.
But the point,
mechanically,
it doesn't make it. The witches don't have that unless they're
witches should not have more than 1 wound. They should.
No, I'm saying like, but they don't even have a. We don't know if they even have an invul save right now, right?
Yeah,
that's
I wouldn't be shocked.
Problem.
I would be shocked if they went I mean, they've literally made 2 books of Daughters of Cain since they've made a Dark Eldar book, and I think that that's enough reference for them to take some inspiration and go that route with like combat drugs, the same way they do like the murderous prowess for Daughters of Cain. I see no reason why they can't integrate that with a very, very similar, like-minded army. Maybe there's buffs, maybe there's a feel no pain mechanic. If they're, they're fueled by pain, their combat drugs are making them these LSD crazy psychopath witches, and nothing will stop them. Like if they get hit with the bolt round, they're just going to explode in red mist. But if they dodge it and they're frenzied as hell and they get to you, like they're going to be fucking monsters. Like I would like that. True glass cannon, right?
You got me thinking of almost like a reverse combat drugs mechanic where like turn 1 they're mega pumped up, can go shooting across the board, and each turn they start losing abilities. So, by turn 4 or 5, they're all petered out and just kind of basic and easy to kill.
Wait. Are you describing every rave I've ever been to?
Wow.
That
would be an interesting mechanic.
Yeah. No, I was just going to see all the like tired ass witches in the battle, and the Space Marines like figured out like, oh, so we just have to wait 5 turns for you to just die? Cool. We're gonna make sure we don't engage for 5 fucking turns.
I like the idea, but Games Workshop likes to do the opposite of that. They like, let's look at Daughters of Cain. Let's look at other armies too. It's as the game goes on, usually armies they have, which may have stacking features, get better and better and better. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there.
Well, Deepkin is a one where they made it a progression system where it's different rules over time as opposed to snowballing rules over time.
Deepkin, Nurgle, Necrons, they all have ones that are different each time and can be either reset or turned around or flipped over in certain scenarios.
Boy, I tell you, speaking of Necrons, I tell you what, I'm still getting used to that phase where I set up my cards at the beginning for my protocols, and then there's that moment at the beginning of the turn where I'm deciding which protocol to activate. Hey, but small question. If I'm doing a custom dynasty, is there a time when I get both protocols active, or is that only with specific dynasties?
There's only with the Zarekian dynasty. And, yeah. No, that is just specific to the name dynasties.
Okay.
And nothing else. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make a side comment about that rule too. As somebody who's played against it, I hate the rule only because it slows down the start of the game.
Oh, but with mine, it's like 9 times out of 10, I have the same format in every single. Time.
But like
it didn't slow down our game. I was like, it's this one again. It's this one again.
Yeah. But it from my early games of playing, it's been one of those things where it's like when you, especially like I could see if we were playing in-person tournaments, it'd be one of those things that would bug the crap out of me. It was like a really cool idea, but then in implementation, I'm like, the Necron player is still picking his fucking cards. Why can't we just play?
It would only be in the start of the game, and then they would have to figure out their directive. I could see it be more complex, though, if you bring a Zarekian dynasty, because not only is there a warlord trait that allows you to flip something, and the Legion allows you to use multiple at one point of the game. Then if you bring the Silent King, regardless, I mean, I guess he doesn't work with his dynasty because of the fucking dynastic agent thing, but he lets you switch things out too. So I could see that being.
I don't know. They should have. I'm echoing Garrett. Like they should have just copied the Fire Slayer rune system for Necrons, which is basically at the start of the turn you pick one of your protocols, and it's only you can only ever use one protocol once.
Yeah.
Unless you have a separate rule.
Anytime they're
Like,
requiring a lot of pre-game decisions, like I'm not worried about the during game decisions. It's the pre-game before, like after deployment, where you got to sit there and be like, okay, let's start playing. We just deployed. Hold on. Let me do this 10-minute activity now.
Here, let me
Oh, it
start
should
my
not
chess
take
clock
10
for
minutes.
you. Yeah, you just have chess clocks.
I know,
Yeah,
but
chess
yeah, but there's a whole camp of people who are against chess clocks, and so I got to have that argument now.
But Garrett's bringing a good point. It's like from a rules design perspective, what was the benefit or decision making process of like doing that as versus just basically giving the Necron player the ability to pick a protocol at the start of each turn and knowing that he can only spend this protocol once. Like it's just like, oh well, you have to design your forethought into knowing that like how the game is gonna go.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
7
like,
times out of 10,
supposed to-
that Necron player has
like
to, he can't
HAT.
change his. 7 times out of 10, he can't change it anyways.
No, but that's my point, though. Like,
That's
it's like
the point.
because you can't change it. You're spending more time into trying to decide on reality. It's like almost every Necron player is going to pick the same exact protocol at the start of every game, no matter what the matchup is.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
like-
It should be either a fixed list that says turn one, choose one of these two. So like the order is set, or like you guys were suggesting, it's here's the 6 protocols you can use each one once.
Yeah. Anyways, totally off topic. Just wanted
Totally
to
off
get that one out
topic.
there.
We,
No, actually on topic because it's at least 40K.
it is 40K. Speaking of 40K, we got some good news today as well. You know, many of us, most of us, I think all of us, have been pretty excited about things that fan content that's been created by for Games Workshop, basically. You know, without them playing a role in it and without them giving C&Ds out left and right like they used to. And you know, those were a lot of the animated things that have come out recently. You know, Astartes, obviously, not only is that filled with meme content, but it's also one of the best forms of 40K animation I think I've ever seen. It is really, really good. There have been clips and pieces of other projects that we've seen recently. There's a Horus Heresy project that we knew about. You could just find on YouTube, or used to be able to find on YouTube. And then there was these hints at this thing called the Xxix, which was a series that was being talked about, a little fan project as well. Despite it being called the Xxix, we were yet to actually see animation of an Xxix Eldar. We just saw, you know, clips of like a Space Marine at one point, and then chain swords from a striking Scorpion. And then we found out today that all 3 of those studios are now in partnership with Games Workshop. The people who make Astartes, Sima Pedersen, he's already been on board with Astartes and is going to have a follow-up series to that. The group Lost Legion Studios, who make the Exodite, is currently working with the Games Workshop as well. And heck, they posted an additional trailer that'll make our good friend Paul very happy and jitty, because it's nothing but Tau in that clip as well. And then, yeah, you know, that Horus Heresy one, it looks like it may or may not actually be Horus Heresy. It might just be chaos.
No,
Because
it's Horus Heresy.
it is Horus
Horus
Heresy.
Heresy.
The iron with
the original. Yeah, the original clip is basically a boarding of a space battle. It's a void battle that's happening on a ship, which is like basically a heresy. It's a heresy battle, and it's all they're all basically in Mach 3. I think they're all in Mach 3 armor. The battle is happening, and it looks like it was Iron Fist versus sorry, not Iron Fist.
Iron Warriors.
The Iron Warriors, sorry, versus some kind of like loyalist. I forgot who it was, but I remember watching the clip when it was available, and it looks like it's just a void space battle. Lots of like it's kind of cool. You got lots of floating dead space marine in space. That's like the camera slowly like follows the side of the ship effectively. Yeah,
Cool.
which is cool because I think most people forget in the space marine fluff, because we don't really play that. But Space Marines were supposed to be designed to fight combat in space, like actually physically fight in space, even though we never really do any games like that, right? So
No. Okay. Well, that's really exciting. I mean, you know, the studios, they've been doing a great job, you know, in their own regard. And these aren't even the only studios that are making Warhammer Animations. You know, they didn't even mention in that they're still working on that Blood Angels thing. That animation's a little clunkier. I think it was meh. And
well, those are all those all started by Games Workshop. They're not
Those are all
Yeah.
started. Yeah, that's right. And then they have that anime style thing that's going on too. And I'm not really a big anime person at all, whatsoever. Like Eldar kind of fit the theme, so cool. Looks awesome.
I will say, on that Tau clip though, I happened to be in a chat group with Mr. Israel Sanchez, and he loved it. I loved it. I tell you what, I was way more excited by that Tau clip than any of those Imperial clips that I've seen. Like, oh my gosh, to see just a different view of the future, to see actual like the Tau tech in action, and just I was really excited to watch the whole thing. They were coming in on like a fruit sphere or something like that, the whole 9 yards. And at the end, I was like, "Whoa, what's that suit? Is that a new suit? Is that a Forge World suit they're about to get into?" So yeah, I thought that was all pretty
It's
cool.
a stealth suit.
It's a stealth suit.
This is a normal. They even reference it after the clip. They're like, "What?"
I know they referenced it after the clip, but when I watched it, that's what I was thinking. And then afterwards, they mentioned stuff.
I saw a lot of overtones of like references to like some of the intro videos I've seen from like BattleTech and Gundam series for the Tau segment. I thought that was a cool little homage. I'm really looking forward to like, especially the way the suit comes out. Like that's like, because we actually know how like to typically like outside of the Manta how they carry their battle suits into battle.
Oh no, yeah. Well, that's because not everyone owns a Manta. Our good friend Israel has a Manta, and he has shown it off to us in detail as much as he possibly can. The Forge World model actually has clips, where they fall down. He magnetized his and put actual crisis suits on them. Fuck.
Well, I mean, the one I helped Paul build, he actually lit the crisis suits inside of the lighted bay of the Manta.
Of course. Wow.
I praise, not to judge anybody, but that's a lot of resin. That's I think per dollar
resin.
The dollar per, like, I'm pretty sure if there's any cause of like maybe cancer, those are models that would probably have caused cancers.
I will say that I did the straightening on Paul's Manta, so I had to use my bathtub, and I had to fill the tub about halfway with boiling water or ultra hot water to try and straighten that thing. And yeah, it was just say there's so much resin, it took an effort to cover it in the bathtub with water.
Oh my god.
Dude, I worry about anybody who had to like who basically started like scraping sides of those pieces who had like a face mask on. It's so much risk. Anyway, outside of the videos where I'm actually really concerned about is how much artists leeway they're going to give them going forward and how they represent like the IP of Games Workshop. Because one of the things about Astartes, like the Space Marine suits were pretty close to like what a representation. Like I can't see Games Workshop caring too much about the representation of the Space Marine, but like the villain inside, like the weird things in Astartes, like the gatekeepers before the orb and everything. That's like a huge amount of like artists, like basically what's it called, like creativity, because there's no artistic freedom, because there's literally nothing in 40K or AOS that resembles that.
It reminded me of Words Bearers. I thought they were like Word Bearers cultists with the script all over their skin, so that was making me think of Word Bearers.
It's Umbra.
Yeah, but yeah, that spinal implant thing on their head, on the other hand.
And the whole like golden kind of like statue, kind of like robotic thing behind. Like I'm curious how much artistic freedom they're going to give them going forward on these videos, right? Because the last thing I want is basically like them to basically, no, you can't, like, we want you to just do everything like we want to, which is, I have a worry that's going to kill it. Because one of the problems I think we've had with like previous Games Workshop owned animations. You guys remember that Ultramarines movie?
How could we forget?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. There's never been an Ultramarines movie.
Yeah, there has
been. Prove it.
Okay. Well,
sounds like
I own it.
Alternative facts.
I own it, and it's terrible. And one of the problems
I only took it off my memory stick of my keychain like a year ago.
It felt like the artists who made that movie were basically like, there is so much we can't do that they just said fuck it, we're just fuck it up on purpose because like the art style in that movie was just like it felt like it was micromanaged shit effectively. So I'm
It
like
was very bad.
that's what I'm worried about for the next wave
Yeah.
of fan base.
Now, I will say real quick, I'm pretty sure that our good friend Ben, when we last had a discussion in our team chat about Astartes, went like really into it. And I think the interviewer, there was an interview where the creator basically hinted heavily. It was like, it's like Tzeentch. He like didn't really have an idea, where he just said like, okay,
Yeah.
it's Tzeentch. And I always thought that it was Umbra, which was a minor race in 40K, which is like spherical, weird creatures, or at least their inactive state is a sphere. And they're like warp derived entities. So I was like, okay, well, like if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, all right. But if you listen to the script during the scenes when like the Inquisitor's plugging in, it's really hard to understand what's being said. But if you keep on listening to it and keep on listening to it, they definitely it's not like I thought it was one sphere in two different times, like two different like chronological times, just out of order. They are two separate spheres because when he plugs into one of them, you see the one he's looking at and like an astral projection of like the where the other one was at way far away, and they're talking to each other and then they're talking to him, and it's like ordering for the Dark Lord, blah 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 blah, like do this, and so it's like
I took that it was two separate locations. I couldn't make out the
I
words
didn't
though.
all.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured it was like something happened. I think the first time around with the Space Marines attacking the cultists, finding it and getting sucked in. And then I figured that like the Inquisitor was like when a bigger force comes in and investigates what happened. So I was getting confused. But Dark Lord stuff is very chaos. So maybe, I mean, like I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I assumed it was all chaos. Like I said, I was thinking like word bearers, cultists because of the script, this stuff.
I see it. I see it.
I do think we're gonna get a lot more fan films after Dark Tide comes out for 40K, because like people are gonna use that game for sure for like making like fan film like material. I'm looking forward to that game as well.
We are relatively competitive players, if not, especially when the world comes back to what it needs to be. We're going to be competitive players. And there's a tournament that we want to talk about before we wrap things up today. And I think that's going to be a good palate cleanser for me because I need to fucking get all of these thoughts out of my head with the stupid fucking information that God fucking Jeremy told me. God damn it. I'm not salty. I'm fine. Cool.
Alex, tell us how you really feel.
No, I don't want to. Anyways, there was a Free State GT. It's in Best Coast Pairings. It is a 40K event. It is Free State. It smells Texas-y. Is this Texas-y? No, it's Kansas. Holton, Kansas. This GT came out. It was a 2-day event. It was in person, so I hope people were as safe as possible. And there were 45 people who showed up. That's pretty big event. I really, really hope people were safe. Nurgle's Rod is prevalent, whether you want to believe it or not. It believes in you. So 2,000 points, 5 rounds, 3 detachment max, pretty standard 2.5 hour rounds. They definitely had they had a sponsor. They had an all around some auto shop. It looks like that's cute. That's and cool. Yeah, they were pretty specific about submitting lists or getting disqualified by a certain point in time, which I think is pretty cool because you might see a yellow card for ITC if you don't submit your thing on time. But they straight up say that if you didn't submit your list by the 4th of March, you are disqualified from the event.
A red card. Wow.
So, no, not a red card, just a preemptive. Like you're not going to actually show up. You're not going to be here.
Yeah, it says failure to submit a list by
really?
will result in a red card and a DQ from the event.
Oh, so both. Okay.
Yeah.
I skimmed that one over. And
so they're actually the red card is a big deal because that affects you in other tournaments, right?
Mm-hmm. And you've wasted your money if you pre-bought. So, yeah.
Wow. Hey, what's the LMC? It says this is part of the ITC and the LMC.
Lord Marshal's Conference.
Which is?
It's a subset of it's another tournament circuit that is run by the guys who do Iron Halo. And they made it's basically another circuit that runs in parallel with the ITC, so they can kind of do their own mini thing and give out their own mini awards. Their LVO is the Iron Halo, I believe.
Okay, cool. That's cool. And I mean, the placings were wild. Like we talked about earlier in this, sometimes there's a meta that we know about. There's things that we know that are good and bad. And, we only go so far as to see the mediums that we see online or TTS or games in person with the limited amount of people we might be playing with right now. But looking at the event, I mean, there was a wide range of players for 45 players, a lot of Imperial lists like we would normally see, scattered Xenos, some Chaos. But I mean, the top 10 is very interesting to me, but even the top 3 or the top 5 rather, we got the person who got first place, my neighbor's dog is going crazy. First place was Dan Salmons with his Orcs. So Orcs got first fucking place at this event. Aaron Cook with his Adeptus Custodes got second. Third was Stuart Reed and his Dark Eldar. And fourth was Jim Orr, also with Orcs. That's what I liked to see. And then fifth was Chaos with Sean Dilley. There were, again, a lot of other players after that. But you guys, looking at some of these lists, especially the top 3, what are some of your thoughts on them?
I myself was just happy to see that much variety. When orcs are doing well, it speaks well to the health of Warhammer. I will say that. Orc players are often that spice and delight in a tournament. And so if we can get more of them out because their codex is doing well, that's great. Other than that, I'm not seeing, all Imperial, all Space Marines, all Chaos, all anything. So as long as there's a high variety, in fact, there's 8 different factions in the top 10. That's pretty amazing. Yeah.
And Garrett, what about you? I know you're probably looking at the list right now. I hope. Eyes up here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list right now, going through them.
If you're looking at number 1, that sure does look fucking familiar.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the event. I didn't have it preloaded.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give our listeners a bit of a hint here. The Orc list, it has 2 of my least favorite models in all of Warhammer 40,000. They're ugly models. They have the worst rules. They shouldn't exist. Honestly, they should just be scrapped. These things, what do they call it? Tip my tongue.
Well, calm yourself, German man there. Calm yourself there.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. Anyways, he number 1, Dan's list, it was Death Skulls. He started off with it looks like it's a patrol. No, yeah, it's got to be a patrol with a war boss on a bike. He also had 10 Gretchen, 2 units of 5 commandos, 1 unit of Megatrack scrap jets. He also brought some Def Dreads, or 2 Def Dreads, and a cannon wagon. He brought 2 burn Obamas, a truck, and he brought another patrol, which was Gaskell Thraka. It was a Goth list, of course, with Gaskell, has 10 Gretchen, and it looks like he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Smasher guns, and again, another truck. And that is it's a fun list. I mean, I'm interested in how it worked.
He wasted 2 CP reading his list. I guess if he really wanted the Pain Boy, because Gaskell doesn't break culture anymore, so you can take Gaskell in a Death Skull list, even though he's Goth, and he doesn't break culture, if I remember correctly. And since he only has 1 heavy support, he could have thrown all the mech guns in there, and so basically he has a Pain Boy. Oh no, I think patrols can go over 2 elites. No, they can still only have 2 elites.
No, it's only 2 for everything but
yeah. So basically, all that second patrol is getting him is a Pain Boy. That's it. He could have thrown everything else into that patrol.
2 CP.
Yeah, he could have saved himself 2 CP.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Gaskell does. I've heard mixed things about him. So I may want to try him out someday. I feel like he is kind of better in a list with a lot of Goth boys because his WA gives out that +1 attack to Goths and the run in charge. So interesting idea. Death Skulls is one of those interesting ones because all of their infantry become OBSEC, but he didn't take a lot of infantry, but they also get that 6-up invulnerable save, and they get to reroll 1 hit, wound, and damage roll per unit. So things the scrap jets, I believe, take really good advantage of that because their weapons can really take advantage of that reroll 1 hit, reroll 1 wound, reroll 1 damage roll. And I forget if Death Dreads get the Death Skull rule for reroll 1 hit. I believe they do.
They do.
Yeah. So Death Skulls it's basically between Death Skulls and Goths at this point of what I see a lot. Every now and then an Evil Sons to get the +1 charge with a jump. But I liked Death Skulls for a long time. Against you, I just ran Goths just because I wanted to throw 120 boys at you. And Slug of Boys do really well as Goths. So I normally run Death Skulls, but I like to run like a Mega Nob unit that becomes OBSEC, or all of my heroes become OBSEC. Like if he had run that Pain Boy in Death Skulls rather than Goths, he would have had OBSEC. So I don't know. Interesting decisions. I'm curious to see who he played against, what kind of lists he played against.
Well, his last round opponent was number 2, which was again the Aaron Cook and his Custodes. Found it interesting that and Jeremy just sent me another link. I'm gonna guess that it's the book in question. That's
right. I did.
My reaction to that.
I want to trigger him more and more.
That's really just. Anyways, this Custodes list is Shadow Keepers, which I don't think I've seen run before.
Shadow Keepers are from the War and the Spider campaign book. They're like one of this. It's when they added like basically sub factions to Custodes.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that one run. I don't think you don't typically run Shadow Keepers.
I don't personally run Shadow Keepers, but it's a good one. And if I remember correctly, I'm just going to bring up the rules because I knew they were good for a reason. I just don't remember what the reason is.
Okay. As he does so, though, to take a look just at the bare bones of the list here, he does have, not only does he have a battalion starting with the, he's got Open the Vaults. He does have a Calexis Assassin in the list. He's got 2 shield captains. One of them's on a Doniogol jet bike. One of them is an Alaris Terminator captain. So 2 shield captains. He's got those fun little Sagittarium. He's got 3 units of Sagittarium in that battalion. He then has 5 Alaris custodians with axes in his elite slot, as well as 4 persecutors. He then has 2 Palace Grav tanks, and then he's got 5 of the Venatari Terminators. He then has a Telemon Dreadnought with the Accelerator, Culverin, and Cestus, and that wraps up his list. I mean, I can see why he lost to number 1, just because the body game and the destructive power of certain things in that orc list. Specifically, I'm thinking Smash-A-Guns, Gas-Cool, and the Burnabombas, like things that either cause mortal wounds or do high rend damage or high AP damage, plus bodies. Like he had 30 Gretchen on top of other things. Like
did he? Remember him not having a lot of bodies.
Well, he had not having a lot of bodies, but having like 46,000 times more than the Custodes.
He doesn't it's very similar to the list me and Ben basically play, except that we replaced the Alaris Terminators with the Forge World one, which is the Quillen Terminators, because of the Stormbolters, which are strength 5 instead of strength 4. And then in this list, having that extra punch from shooting in terms of anti-infantry was I think what basically cost him probably the game. When against any of these kind of orc lists, is you just need to be able to remove a unit in shooting and remove a unit in combat as much as you possibly could. To be honest, that's a true statement for Custodes in period, because you're such a small model count army anyway.
The orc list had 20 Gretchen and 10 commandos, and then vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay, still more bodies than the Custodes, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
That's what I'm trying to say.
but it's not hard bodies to clear, I guess.
Who knows? Like, I was trying to find out like what mission they were playing on the last round, and obviously like because it looks like the game was kind of like it looked like, I mean, at least on points it was pretty much a close game because it was 92 to 80 something, right? Is that the end of scoring? Yeah. So it looked like it was a fairly close game, and they both looked like they were achieving all of their secondaries to get that high of points. Now the question is, obviously, what effectively, like maybe the table prevented the Custodes player in terms of trying to maximize his output, or maybe like he just made the wrong selection of like maybe one secondary, and that one, because like a 3-point difference is like it's basically like who got first, who got second, and who basically fucked up on like one primary or one secondary. Basically, like that's the level of like difference that's going to make it at this point.
That could also be one good denial. You pull a little gambit and deny your opponent a score, and boom, you've got something like that with games that are that close.
I agree.
Yeah, and
I agree. Yeah, I like both lists. I mean, I really don't know what Shadow does for the.
Oh yeah, sorry, Shadowkeeper just basically, it doesn't give you a universal rule. It just unlocks a separate like warlord trait, relic, and stratagem,
like
and he doesn't use the warlord trait, and he doesn't use the relic. I don't remember seeing it, the status of belief, but I'm guessing he uses the stratagem, which is basically like a kind of a really small version of transhuman physiology, because it lowers the attacks of an attack targeting a Shadowkeeper unit by 1. So like, in a sense, things that are strength 6 would be effectively cut down to transhuman physiology status, because it's a 1 CP stratagem that lowers the attacks by 1, the strength of attacks by 1. So it works in melee, works in shooting, because the Custodes version of that stratagem is like 2 CP for the Space Marine one, which is, and it doesn't have like a size restriction or anything. So it's fairly expensive. I'm guessing that's the only reason why. Honestly, with Alaris Terminators, I'm not sure why he just didn't play the one where you get 3d6 charge.
Like, yeah, at that point, why not?
I'm not sure what the value of that -1 strength was for. I guess I'm sure there's a logical reason for it, but
that's one of those matchup dependent rules. Against the right matchup, that becomes critical, but otherwise,
It'd also be really important to note that like this is also something going out of not really having a meta. So people are also just like throwing things at the wall and maybe see what sticks. Like it's good on paper, let's try it out here. Sometimes it's not good on paper because they realize that they could have saved 2 CP elsewhere, like what Garrett said. But I'm also very curious about this third list. I mean, Dark Eldar are an army that is not considered great right now, and they're gonna get a new codex. I would have expected it like a week ago, but maybe in a week and a half, maybe in 2 weeks, we're going to see a Dark Eldar Codex. Who the fuck knows? But the fact that we're right on the precipice of getting a new codex for them, and somebody's getting 3rd place at a GT with them, I think is pretty tight. And this, the Dark Eldar player in question, this is against Stuart Reed, and he's got the Prophets of Flesh obsession, and I got to tell you, it has been so long since I played against Dark Eldar that I could not tell you for certain what Prophets of Flesh. I mean, I can look it up in a sec, but he's got a homunculi.
What I'm going to know real soon is my buddy Sean just bought an entire painted Dark Eldar army, so I get the feeling that as soon as that codex drops, I'm going to get a whole lot of Dark Eldar experience.
You are. You absolutely know you are. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely know I am.
And his list does have a homunculi for the first portion of things is the patrol. He's got 3 units of racks, 3 Taloses in a unit, all with haywire blasters. He then also has a second patrol with obsession, custom cult, slashing, impact, and test of skill. He then has a succubi with as the HQ for that one, unit of witches, and then he also has a 3rd patrol detachment. He then has Cabal of the Blackheart. He then has the, oh boy, what is it? He's got the Alliance of Agony, which is 1 minus CP there. He's got an Archon. He's got 2 units of Calibite Warriors, 2 Sliths, and the 2 little snake guys, Silts. And then he's got 2 units of Scourges, 2 Void Raven Bombers, and 3 Raiders. So he's got 3 different cults, and they're all very different. Cabal the Blackheart, everything that has that obsession. They have the Power of Pain ability as the current battle round, or +1 higher than the current battle round. So that's one thing that they might have that's there. And they have the special relics and stuff like that, just like everyone else. The other one that we had before, which was the Homunculi Coven. Which one did I say? Was it Butchers of Flesh? I think it was Butchers of Flesh. That one is, if that is the one, it was, okay.
Prophets of Flesh.
Prophets of Flesh. I don't think
While you're looking stuff up, I just want to clarify the reason he has 3 patrols is you can't mix witch cults, homunculus covens, and Kabbalite things. And Dark Eldar have a rule that if you take 3 patrols, you get all of your CP refunded.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he has 3 patrols. It's how you run Dark Eldar, essentially, is because you have to, if you want to run anything other than just Kabbalite warriors or whatever, you have to run them all in different patrols. And so that's why they give you the rule that you can run multiple patrols and get all your CP refunded. So.
And that's normal Dark Eldar stuff. They usually have like weird, remember years ago, they were one of the first ones to play around with the HQ slot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, looking at that first one, that homunculi detachment, all models of that obsession, the invulnerable save that they have from Insensible to Pain is actually a 4-up invul. So having, the units of Rax with 4-up invuls, the Talus with 4-up invul, and of course that homunculi, that's pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you get some good bonuses with that combination. Plus he's got a lot of very fast bodies. So I think that would have been really cool as well. I think it's cool that he won that he got so far. He lost his very first game and then he won every single other game. So he
submarined.
Yeah,
truly. He did the Alex Intel
special.
He 1000% submarine this. I want to see what his first loss was, and we're gonna have to double check that. But and also how much he lost by is going to be really important. He lost to Aaron. Yeah. And he lost barely. He's 79 to 85 loss is not a bad loss. Especially to Custodes. Especially to Custodes with something like Dark Eldar. But still, I like it. So congratulations on all 3 over there and everyone else who was actually able to get a game. I hope you guys were as safe as possible. I can only wish that we could have events. What are you guys' thoughts on this event before we wrap things up here?
Glad to see people starting to open up. I think it's still a little early for me, but as long as things are done safely, I don't see a problem with it. And I think it's a good sign.
Yeah, because I think this year will be maybe a little bit better than last year. Will be a little bit better, but we'll be able to maybe get some real meta out of this year. And like 44-player event with orcs on top is a great way to start off the year, I guess I would say, to me.
Wow, you don't get overexcited there. That might just be the anomaly.
Right. It may just be that weird. Well, I mean, the Lord Marshal's conference, I think, has always had maybe some more unique lists just because it's a different region than the East and West Coast anyways. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know shit.
Yeah.
Well, what I do
You don't know
is
Jack.
What I know is that if you guys like this episode, do rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on Spotify. If you're having issues with that, Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Jeremy and I are going to have a stream game prior to this to the release of this episode. Don't know what we're playing, don't know what I'm playing against, don't even know what game I'm playing, but we're gonna have a good time. It's been a while since we've actually rolled dice. And there's probably going to be a special portion of this episode that's going to be allowed for patrons only. So for our patrons, or for those who are interested in that, do have fun with that if you feel the need. But we are of course on Frontlines podcast roll every other week for the Age of Sigmar portion of things. We do hope to see you guys soon. We cannot wait to roll dice. And this is going to be Alex, John, Jeremy, and Garrett signing off for the evening.
Night, folks.